All right, guys, so removing the oil cooler and the stock oil plate, which is right here, because I'm gonna have to take that off to put my oil relocation kit, sorry, to feed the turbo and drain it, which is real cool. So I'll explain that in a bit. But yeah, I'm taking this off, took off the oil cooler already. Let me get into this video and show you how I did that. All right, guys, so as you see in the intro, I'm taking off the oil cooler and the oil plate, but I kind of want to go over it just in case you guys are thinking about doing this, you know, just changing the oil cooler if you want to go to air to oil or whatever to change it. So first, in order to take this off, obviously you got to disconnect the coolant lines running to this, and this thing is still leaking oil here, but disconnect the coolant lines, and in here, in this hole here, right, you're gonna see this adapter here. This goes onto the plate here itself, and that's where your oil goes, oil filter. Okay, you're gonna want to look in there, and you're gonna see a 14 millimeter Allen, which is right here. I have a kit, it's 14. These goes all the way up to 15. These are extremely useful. I recommend you get a set of that. You're gonna need something like that or equal to that, but I recommend getting the right tools. That takes that off, right? And it's gonna leak oil, so make sure you got your oil catch can somewhere to catch all that oil. Okay, and then you're gonna get to your oil plate, oil filter plate, and that has 3 bolts, one there, and one in here that I just took off. A little hard to get this one, so what I use a long extension. I recommend you get one of these. They're very useful for taking off and on your headers anyway. I used it to take off the motor mounts. Great tool to have. Long extension. This is a 20-inch extension with a swivel at the end and a 10 millimeter. You're gonna need that to take these 3 bolts off. And I think these are already loose. The bottom one here, this one here, I couldn't really get my hand in there. So I had to get in there with, let's see, so it's basically once you crack it, the tightness of it, they come right off with your hand. So this is the second one, and the second one I just barely loosened it, but I got to get in there with a socket and go ahead and take that off. But basically that's it. 3, don't forget to, you know, disconnect it here, the oil sensor there, and to be quite honest with you, usually you're gonna see alternator here coming down to about here, and it's gonna be very difficult to get this one. You could still find a way to do it, maybe with like a short wrench or something, but I just took off my alternator. And it's because I'm already in here and I have tons of space, and you know, but if you don't want to take off your alternator, you can get this bolt here, but you're gonna have to finagle with it a little bit. Okay, so let me go ahead and take this one off and let's see how it looks. All right, guys, so there it is. Pretty easy to remove the plate, take off the 3 bolts, and it's got an O-ring, so you just gotta tug on it just a bit. Here it is, nice cool little O-ring, you know, that went in there. This thing went like this, not like this. The threading, no, it did not. It went like this. The top bolt, the top bolt is gonna be hard to get if you don't take off your alternator. Bottom one here is pretty easy. Got an extension, should be easy. And then this one's the long one, but that one is the easiest. Take off. Then you got your sensor there. I'm gonna try to reuse that somehow. Probably won't fit onto my adapter that I'm getting. It would if I didn't have a turbo. I would be able to put that sensor in there and use it, but I'm gonna be using one to feed the turbo and one to drain it back. Now, what I was looking at on my side is that I was looking at this and I was like, you know what? I'm hoping, hold it like that. I'm hoping that I can mount my plate here. So this has got 1. So actually where it bolts on, it's 1, 2, 3. but it looks like it has some extra threads here, holes that are unused, this one and this one. I'm thinking, or I'm hoping, somehow, some way, that plate that I'm gonna get from Canton Racing Products fits in there, right? He's obviously gonna use some existing hose, fits in here. It's gonna take out oil, bring out oil, bring it back in after it's filtered and cooled, and then it's also gonna have an extra feed to feed the turbo, which is gonna go somewhere up here, and it's gonna have an extra feed to drain it. Not a feed, just a hole, drain bag. So I'm hoping this thing is able to fit. Alternator is gonna go right here, you know, and let's see. I'm thinking it's gonna interfere with the drain back, to be quite honest, because I'm gonna have to put a fitting. Remember, I'm gonna have to put this plate. It's gonna stick out at least to about right here, and then I'm gonna have to put a fitting. So let's see, but not too worried anymore. I was looking at this setup here, and I kind of have almost everything ready. Alternator went here. If I relocate it to here, it's gonna use this bolt here that goes right on top of my header. I don't know if you can see it. There's gonna be a beeline right off my header. I'm probably gonna have a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, maybe even less of clearance here. Doesn't matter, it's not gonna move. That's gonna come out. One's gonna come out through here, and another one is gonna come out through here. It's gonna have 3, 1, 2, 3, and the alternator itself is gonna sit within this cup here. From what I've seen, you gotta grind this all off here, which I'm not worried of. I mean, I've already been hacking away. I'm gonna have to grind off a little bit of material, and the alternator is gonna sit this way with the pulley facing the motor, and all my plugs out here. It looks like it might, my turbo mid pipe kind of comes right under this thing here, because it's gonna have a tensioner here. Turbo thing comes up right through here in front of the tension. Tension's gonna go in here, and all my wiring's gonna plug in through back here. It looks like I might pull through with that. It looks like, I can barely get out of here. It looks like that's what's gonna happen. With my oiling, that's gonna situate my oiling, guys. If I can get that adapter to fit in there, even if I have to relocate. I mean, would I like to relocate? No, that's $100, and that relocation kit that is gonna cost me. And because of that, more than likely, I'm gonna have to relocate, you know, the overflow here, because you're gonna have, I'm talking about that I'm gonna have a alternator all the way up here. Fans probably barely gonna clear, and you know, I'm gonna have to run my pipe in there. But you know, it is what it is. I'm not really too, you know, if I gotta do it, I gotta do it. You know what I mean? I gotta get this thing running anyway. So it looks like I have my coolant situated with that plate. It's all assembled over there. I've been taking it in and out, in and out. It's, I mean, I still gotta go and tighten it, but I got this this flex here, this flex form thing here from Napa. They hooked me up there. Perfect sizing, OEM on here. Clamp's gonna clamp on. That's gonna allow me to situate my bottom radiator hose. Is gonna come out roughly from here up to here. Got this housing here with a 90 and kind of like a 45-degree down, which helps, clears my turbo here. That gives me space to, you know, run what I gotta run. It looks like my O2 sensor is gonna fit right through here. Oiling is gonna come up right through here, and then my alternator is gonna be sitting here. So once I can kind of situate that, the last thing to do, honestly, is gonna be my piping. And I'm waiting till last to do that because I was already gonna work on it. But then I realized, you know what, I'm gonna have to take care of this oiling. And this oiling more than likely is gonna require me to relocate this alternator. This alternator is gonna sit here. Originally, I wanna have my overflow here and run my piping underneath the overflow. But if I'm gonna have my alternator here, it looks like that's gonna be scrapped out. Radiator, alternator is gonna be just perfectly fit in here. And I'm gonna have to run this turbo right above this alternator. And it's gonna go right through here into my intercooler that's gonna be sitting right in this area. So a little extra things that I had to do, but it's working out in my advantage. I thought that I wasn't even gonna be able to relocate my alternator here. I thought that the wires were facing down. I was like, man, it's gonna hit my turbo. but it looks like the alternator, which is right over here, all this stuff is facing out, so that's good. This faces the engine. Turbo's gonna run right underneath it basically, and I'm gonna have all my connections coming in through there, so that's really cool. The power battery hour kit is looking, the one I'm gonna get is gonna come with a tensioner, it's gonna come with the band, everything I kind of need to get this situated. I'm gonna just, one bell is gonna run obviously off the crank and run the water pump, and then the other one, which actually I gotta tighten these still, and then the other one here, this one will normally, we used to run the AC, if you guys can see it, is gonna run my alternator. So yeah, that's pretty much the update right now with the Mustang. I got the cooling side done. I'm about to get the oil hopefully done this week, and let's see how all that situates. But it's looking good, guys. It really is looking good. It's coming along. Other than that, man, stay tuned. Pushing this Mustang out as quickly as I can. If you haven't subscribed, man, and I'll catch you guys very, very soon.